I have kept it towards the last. So let me first come to a very interesting chapter and a very important chapter, which would all of you would like. And so I thought that Pope Alexander Pope, you have already done Dryden, so you can give a little less importance to Pope, because if you're good in Dryden, you can answer the questions from Dryden. So let me come to the next age, and that is the Romantic age. Okay, so the chapter itself is very eye catching. So especially the youngsters, when I say it is romantic age, all of you get very excited to know what is that there in romantic age. To say something in a common thing, if you say, oh, who has given this? Okay, he has given this. Okay, fine. Okay. Huh, right. Oh. So you now don't concentrate on whatever it has been given here. So rather you can, I want to minimize it. So, so let me, yeah. Some sentence is now not visible. Uh, just a minute, just a minute. Let me wait, just a minute. Please wait for just one minute. I don't know what is wrong there. हाँ नहीं सुना तो पीडीएफ नहीं पीडीएफ रे कन्वर्ट करंतुनी असुविधा हबो ताकू परे आपण अपलोड करिवे छाड़ दियंतु तो कैंसिल कर दियंतु नहीं आपण कैंसिल कर दियंतु बुझिया को असुविधा हबो ना मु केते टिप्स लिखिची असुविधा हबो पीडीएफ हेई परिबो ना कंटीन्यूअस नै हां कैंसिल कर दियंतु हां कर दियंतु परे देखिबा दो अपलोड करिवा ओके हो हो ओके. So I was telling that I'm coming to romantic age today. So romantic, it has been used very casually by people. People say, "Oh, I am very romantic. The boy is very romantic. Oh, the movie is so romantic. The girl is so romantic." It's a romantic song. You know, we use the word romantic very casually. So we understand when you say romantic, we understand that he must be very good looking, she must be very good looking, she must be very stylish, she must be very fond of music arts, she must be very refined, she must not be gross, she must be liking very artistic things in life, and she can sing a song for you, she can dance for you, or he can dance for you. So you say, oh, my partner is very romantic, oh, my friend is very romantic, oh, my lover is very romantic. So this is how we talk in the common parlance, romantic. But romantic, when you come to English literature, it is a very different concept. It is not the same romantic as you understand that is called romantic. So what is that romantic movement, or what is this romanticism? I will explain you. Just give 1 minute to me. Yeah. So, romanticism or the romantic movement, you can say, it was a very intellectual, a very artistic movement that originated in Europe towards the end of the 18th century. And it continued from 1800 to 1850. Right? So before this age, you had this age of Dryden, where everything was very prosaic, People talked about the corruption. People talked about the corruption of the church, satire, as I told you in Gulliver's Travels, and mock heroic poems were written. So there is nothing about nature, there's nothing about man, there is nothing about sweetness, there's nothing about beauty. Everything was too gross. Everything was too, what you can say, very direct and so realistically portrayed that there's no question of any what you can say, some sort of sensuousness or some sort of enjoyment coming out of it. And they're very particular about the meter, how to write the couplet form, the sonnet form, all this were done. So people generally they got bored with all this. They got bored with all this. And theater dominated and prose dominated. So this movement actually came because if you see the political background, you find that French Revolution took place. Can you tell me when French Revolution took place?
Ma'am, 1789.
1989.
1789, right. Then the American War of Independence also took place. I think it was 1776. Am I right? If
Yes, ma'am.
I'm, yeah,
1776.
yeah. And then the industrialization had also taken place. And with French Revolution, there are great political thinkers, Voltaire, where there's the slogan of fraternity, equality, and freedom and liberty, you can say. So everyone talked of freedom. And there, the Russian Revolution also took place, where the Rousseau, the great political thinker, that man should be made free, but everywhere he is in chains. So the concept of freedom, the concept of personal freedom, these concepts became great, and people realized that there should be more of democratization. There should be not of a hierarchy, that royalty and the slave class, this class, and all this. So people talked of a different world where there was a democratization. So when you say that there's a trend towards democratization, naturally literature also gets affected. I don't know, literature is shaped by the social movement of the society. So literature also accordingly gets shaped and influenced by the politico-social happenings, politico-social movements that take place in a society. So the main causes, you can say, the French Revolution, American Revolution, Russian Revolution, all these great thinkers, they came with their ideas, and they're very profound and very new ideas. They talked of liberty, they talked of fraternity, that human beings all are in a chain. There should be a relationship of humanity. So the human should be related to human. There's no set of class, or they say exploitation of the rich and the poor, all this. They just revolted against all that. And even in Russian Revolution, this the leftist movement. After that, you can say the Karl Marx, he also talked of the communism, where everyone should be made equal. So all these concepts became very, you can say, very popular. So against this, you can say, the romantic movement took place. And yeah, yeah. uh, so you can say, the if you say, what is this, what are the features of romantic movement? Features means emotion, emotion, human passion, human imagination, all this which were, you can say, forgotten by the people, because society was very structured, and everything was in a defined, in a you cannot think more. It was like, like frame. You have to think within a frame, but now the frame was gone. So the nature started having its importance. People had forgotten nature. People had only thought of church, fight, revolt, all these things happening in the society. But how man is related to nature, how man is a part of nature, what is this purity of life, what is this individualism, free individualism, how to your own individual freedom. So this became important, and the subject of the poem was not society, but the poet himself. Whatever the poet thought, he wrote. Like, for example, John Keats, he was a very famous romantic poet. He says, poetry should come as naturally as the leaves of a tree. Poetry should come as naturally as the leaves of a tree. So you don't have to think and write. It should come. It is like a flow. It is like a flow. You get that inspiration and you can write. Likewise, Wordsworth says, spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings recollected in tranquility. Spontaneous means something free, which comes naturally. Spontaneous overflow. That thing is so, it will be so bubbling in your heart inside that it will come out on its own. And what are the feelings? Powerful feelings, very strong feelings. And that which you can collect in tranquility. Tranquility means solitude. I had already told you that Milton had praised this solitude. If you are left to yourself, you can think. Great poets, they spend hours looking at nature. You must be thinking that he's a fool, he's a madman. But no, he goes on thinking, he goes on reflecting. And out of that reflection, maybe some thought comes to the poet and he can write. But if you're always on a mobile or always watching Netflix or Amazon Prime, do you think you can ever write poems? Yes, am I right? No. So
No,
you
ma'am.
have no. So you have to
No,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am.
no. So you have to give that time to yourself. Yourself. Everyone has got a self. I have got a self. You have got a self. Everyone has got something or the other. You may be having some thought. I may be having some thought. So many thoughts. You may have had so many experiences in life. Sad experience, happy experience, very unique experience. So if you start recollecting them and start thinking, even if you don't write poem, you can always write a diary. Nowadays diary writing is also very important. You can reflect your thoughts, and when you are writing diary, you are honest to yourself. You can be very honest to yourself, because whatever you write, it is coming out from your own self. So you are not telling it to someone that you are very conscious of what you are telling, but it just comes out, and your diary is your own personal property. So you can write anything about your experience, about your feelings, about some happening you had, about some incident which has affected you so badly or goodly. All this you can write, but you have to write. And for writing, you have to think. For thinking, you have to involve your own self. And for involving yourself, you have to have the time to yourself. So you see, this is all a chain. You cannot sit in a drawing room with eight people and start writing your diary. So you have to have that creative time to yourself. Creative. That is the word I'm using. Creative time to yourself to write something. And writing is an art. If you go on writing, the perfection comes slowly. In one day, you cannot become a great poet. Many poets have written, many poets, they've given books for publishing, they're given their poems for publishing, it has been rejected. But again, they go on modifying, they go on changing, they go on editing, and again bring new themes, newer themes, and again, that becomes a masterpiece. It happens. It's not that one day you write something and suddenly you are given a Padma Shri or you are given a great award. It doesn't happen that way. It is an art. As you start painting, first you draw an apple, then you go to a higher scale, then out little higher, then you come to a particular point where you are confident that you can draw anything or you can paint anything. So this is how one should write. poems. So, why this word romantic has been used? Romantic, because it is a period. And romanticism, out of that romantic word, you find romanticism. And as the name romantic is there, it, I told you, what is the first main feature of being romantic? That you have to be emotional. It has to be emotional. So if you don't have emotion, if you have only have reason, intellect, you cannot, write a good romantic poem. So the main thing is your imagination and emotion, and also freedom of the self. These are the three main focal points of romanticism: imagination, emotion, and freedom. If you are given, for example, if I tell you, no, you have to write this in a particular manner, you have to write on, say, a particular tree, but you have to have this, you cannot write. You cannot write because I am already dictated what you are going to write. So you are not having the freedom to think, to imagine, and write. You can write about a tree which is flying in the sky. Maybe you can write that. You can always write about a tree which wants to have a friendship with another tree and wants to fly somewhere to the desert because she is fed up with the rain area where it is always raining and she is becoming wet. So she wants to have a friend, a communication or communion with someone who is dry. Can you ever think like that? One can always think. So freedom, the thinking has no margin that one has to think like this or one has to write like this. No, it all depends your own thinking style. Everyone has got his own thinking. In English, it is not mathematics. That 2 plus 2 has to be 4. 2 plus 2 can be 3. 2 plus 2 can be 5. And 2 plus 2 can be 0. It is on your way of interpreting. It is your way of thinking and your way of imagining what vision you have, then only you can write. So don't confuse the word romantic with the common word when people say, oh, he's very romantic. That means, do you think Wordsworth was romantic? Coleridge was romantic? They're very handsome people? No. It was a movement. So it was a movement of romantic movement which opposed, which was against the the 18th century, you can say this late 17th century prose, age of prose, or the age of Dryden, where everything was very much, structured, very much according to form, according to rule. Imagination had no free play. Man was not given any importance. Only what was given importance? The society and what the happenings in the society. There was ridiculing, there was wit, there was logic, but no emotion. So it was dearth of emotion. That is the reason there was a movement that is called the Romantic movement. Ah. So there are the early Romantic poets who are not very important, but they were the early Romantic poets. So let me name some. The question will not come on this. When you are given a long question, maybe you can write on that. And I have already given my PowerPoint. I think they will upload that. Later on, you can see. One was James Thompson. You can hear his poem, The Seasons. The Seasons. He wrote The Seasons. And in that poem, he wrote about the fearful aspect of nature, like floods and storms. Storm and flood were never the themes in 17th century. But now you see, the focus has changed. And there's another poet, Joseph Warton. He wrote about your communion with nature, the innocent natural world. He wrote about that. Then next was William Collins, another minor poet, who wrote on superstitions. Then there was another famous poet, minor poet of course, Thomas Gray, who wrote Elegy Written on a Country Churchyard. I think this one of these poems are in the school level. They have Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard. Then William Cowper, who believed that contemplation in nature bestows more wisdom than reading books. If you think about nature, if you contemplate or meditate in nature, you get more wisdom than reading books. There was a great, philosopher. I'm forgetting the name. He said that you get more education, or you learn more in life, or you have better experience when you go for window shopping than actual shopping. Am I? Do you agree with me?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am. Yes,
because when
ma'am.
you are going, yeah, when you are going for shopping, you are going with a definite purpose to buy, say, for example, a jeans. I'll go to that shop, buy jeans, and come back. But when you go for window shopping, you don't intend to buy, but you go on seeing many, many shops and many, many items. Then you have a fair idea about the pattern of clothing, about the style that is prevailing, about the colors which are very predominant during that time, about the cuts, all these, which you don't get an opportunity when you go directly and buy something. So one gets more knowledge, or one gets more of, you know, you can say, ideas when one goes for window shopping than the actual shopping. Similarly, he says if you contemplate more in nature, or think, or ruminate, or meditate in nature, you get more of ideas reading a book than reading a book. So with romantic movement, what gained importance, the folklore, folk tales, folklore, and the common man. You hear folklore from where? From the man from the village. He'll tell you story of a monkey or a crocodile. He'll tell you the story of two bears. He'll tell you the story of a fairy. He'll tell you the story of Goldilocks. So all these are, folk tales. Folk tales. It started with one culture, with a group of people. When they go narrating something, then it becomes a folk tale. So when you come to the romantic poets, you always remember three great names. One is William Blake. These are the first generation poets, I can tell you. William Blake. The other one is William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth. And third is Samuel T. Coleridge. William Blake, William Wordsworth, and Samuel T. Coleridge. You must have read the poem of Daffodils. Everyone must have read.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Anyone must have heard Tiger, Tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night.
Yes, ma'am. I've taught my
Yes, ma'am.
students.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am,
ma'am.
that's
So
in
that
syllabus also.
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, that is by William Blake. Similarly, Coleridge, you must have read Kubla Khan, or you might have read Ancient Mariner. So these are the famous great poets, the first generation romantic poets. So I'll just briefly tell you, and then I'll go into detail the different poets because questions might come. So just to, I'll tell you first, let me come to William Wordsworth, and later on I'll take up Blake. William Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge. They were great friends. And together they wrote lyrical ballads. Lyrical ballads. In the lyrical ballads, they postulated or they wrote about their concept of poetry. So Wordsworth wrote many short poems, many long poems, and out of his short poems, Daffodils, Tinton Abbey, Lucy poems, Michael, Ode on Imitations of Immortality, these are some of his small poems. William Wordsworth had a theory, and his theory was called pantheism. Pantheism. Pan, pan means God. Pan. Pantheism. What is this pantheism? He said that in nature, God resides. Nature is as good as your philosopher, friend, and guide. So, when you observe minutely the nature around you, you have great learning because nature is pure, nature is virgin, nature is simple, nature is not affected, there's no artificiality in nature. So, he appreciated nature and he says it is as innocent as childhood is. It is as innocent as childhood is. So he says, nature is your friend, philosopher, and guide. The ultimate good always comes if you have a communion with nature. So your feelings, your thoughts become elevated. From a lower level, you can go to a higher level if you are closely associated with nature. Because nature has got a spiritual influence on mankind. So in the long poem here, the prelude, he had written a long poem, the prelude. He talks about his love for nature and how, if you have a love for nature, you have a love for humankind. If you have a love for nature, you have a love for humankind. But if you go to the cities, there is more of artificiality, there is more of hypocrisy, there is more of, naturalness is not there. People become selfish, people become immoral because they are distancing themselves from nature. So you see how important was nature for Wordsworth. So nature teaches us the great qualities of empathy, sympathy, and love. And your spirit, the human spirit, gets elevated because in nature there's no artificial conventions or rules that you have to do like this, do like that. So you can spend a lot of time there and understand the essence the essence of nature, which is beautiful, which is very pure, which is not only moral but also very spiritual. So Wordsworth's theory of poetry was poetry is a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings recollected in tranquility. Recollected in tranquility. So you mark in Wordsworth's poetry, he never talks about the present world. He will write in past tense. When he writes of daffodils, he remembers. I remember there's a host of golden daffodils. So there is a going back to the past, and he remembers. So when he talks about the solitary reaper, he talks about a girl cutting the grass in the field and singing a song. So when he comes back, he remembers that he's singing a song where he's taking either the wind should come to me or should gently pass. So she's cutting the harvest and singing a song, which is a very natural phenomenon in any village. If you go to any village in the cutting harvesting season, you'll find people bending down with a sickle, singing a song and cutting the rice fields. So he could write a beautiful poem of solitary reaper about that girl harvesting and singing a song in nature. I'll just read out that poem to you so that you'll understand. So there is a spontaneity. Spontaneity means natural, which is very, very natural, which is not, you don't deliberately think and write, but it will come like a great feeling to you, overflowing from inside, overflowing. And that is how you write when you are left to yourself. I go to a particular place, say a beautiful place like the Leh Ladakh, or I can say Ladakh, which is a very beautiful place I have myself visited, where the great mountains are there, not a blade of grass. The sky is very clear. And even if a crow flies, you can see the shadow getting reflected on the roads. The color of the soil is red. So as you imagine all this, a beautiful picture comes to your mind. It's an image. That is called the poetic image. And one who has got the, you know, mm, art of writing, he can convert his imagination and translate them into words. Or if he is a painter, he can imagine and paint the hill, the mountains, one after another, and it's not a gap, a chain of mountains. And at times you'll find the clouds sitting on the mountains. At times you'll find that there's no, it's totally blank. Not a blade is there. And in the winter, it is all snow capped. You don't know where the edges are. You don't know whether the mountain is rough or smooth. Everything is covered, white, fully enveloped with white. So, you have to think to write all like that. You have to think. Okay. What is this learning lesson? Has raised a hand. Who's this? Okay, let me read just one or two poems to have to know about Wordsworth, because until I read a poem, you'll not understand Wordsworth. So let me take one or two poems. Just give me 1 minute. I think it is not there in your book or what. With long. Achha, let me read out. Let me go to the Google and find out. Don't worry. Daffodils. Let me take that simple poem, Daffodils. You'll get an idea of what I say. Yeah. In that poem, Daffodils, the first sentence, Wordsworth writes, I wandered lonely as a cloud. He's writing in past tense. He's not writing that I am wandering now. He's writing, I wondered. I wondered. That means he has recollected in tranquility his experience. So he's remembering going back to the past. I wandered lonely as a cloud. So as a cloud is alone in the sky, similarly the poet is also wandering. When you are wandering, that means there is no purpose. When you're going, it has a purpose. But I say I'm wandering. That means no purpose. You're just wandering. So lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills. That cloud which floats very high over the valleys and the hills. When there's a pause, caesura, pause. When all at once I saw a crowd. He sees a crowd of what? Not people. No, a host of golden daffodils. So when you say crowd, the idea comes, oh, it must be people fighting, a mob, some strike. When I say, oh, I met a crowd, then immediately someone says, oh, any agitation, any dharna, that thing comes to a mind. But sees a crowd of what? Flowers, crowd of golden daffodils, beautiful flowers. Beside the lake, beneath the tree, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. You see how simple the lines are. Everyone can understand, even a small child can understand. And how they looked? Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. They were continuous, there was no break. Continuously, you will find a line of flowers that stretched in never ending line. That line was never ending along the margin of a bay. That is, there is a riverside, and along the riverside at the bay, he sees the continuous flowers. 10,000 saw I at a glance. So he sees a host, nearly 10,000 flowers, he sees, tossing their heads. Because when the flower, there's a breeze, the flowers move from right to left, left to right. So they were tossing their heads. The waves beside them, because there is a river and the waves are there, the waves beside them danced. But they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. But the waves were not as beautiful because they're much more beautiful than the waves, because they were also because they were sparkling. There was a color coming out of it, sparkling, and in happiness. There is a sense of happiness. A poet could not be but gay. If a poet says all this, can he be melancholy? No, he has to be gay, he has to be happy. I gazed and gazed, continuous. I gazed and gazed. He goes on, as if, he's looking continuously at those flowers. Gazed and gazed. But little thought. But I never thought anything. I just gazed. I just went on seeing those flowers. What wealth the show to me has brought. I mean, as if I became a very rich person. Lot of wealth, lot of property, lot of things I got, as if I have acquired in life just seeing those beautiful flowers. Then the main thing, the philosophy of his poet comes in the last lines. For oft means often, when on my couch I lie, when I lie on my sofa, on my couch, in vacant or in pensive mood, when I have nothing to remember, nothing to do, in vacant or in pensive. Pensive means when I'm not, I'm little, to myself, pensive, when little to myself. The flowers flash upon that inward eye. We have an outward eye and the inward eye. They flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. That inward eye, they flash, they come to me. I can see those flowers. And that gives me immense happiness. Immense, because that is the bliss, that is the reward you get when you are in solitude, when you are left to yourself. And then what happens? And then my heart with pleasure fills. My heart is filled with pleasure because I've seen the treasure, the host of golden daffodils. And my heart also dances with the daffodils. How do you like this poem? Everyone is very quiet.
Ma'am, it is beautiful. I have read it during my school days already.
But you
Beautiful.
have read it in the school days, but you can always read it, in different stages of your life.
Yes, ma'am,
The
absolutely.
same a particular poem, you can read it in class 5. It has just no meaning for you. It's just a simple poem. But when you read now, it has got one meaning. But when you read again in old age, you have another meaning. So in different ages, the poems carry different meaning.
This poem has just drew me back to my childhood when I used to walk in the champs with my grandfather.
Hmm. What happened?
Uh, I have these memories when I was a child.
You have read this poem?
No, no, I didn't read this poem, but when I listen to you now reading it in such a way that you just triggered my memories of
Okay.
childhood.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Why a
It
poem,
just
a
made
poem,
me
a
feel.
poem, you should read in such a way so that it can invoke some emotions in you, and you
Yes.
just so it should be read in a proper way. Then you get the beauty of uh, the the point. I'll read you another poem because you have to know the flavor of. If until you know the flavor of a poem, you'll not like the poet. You'll not understand the poet. We had, when I was doing my PG post graduation, there was a professor from the United States. He never used to tell about any criticism, but he taught us in such a way that we could as if visualize what was happening in the United States. There's nothing to do with criticism. There's nothing to say what they said, what he said, what they said. What is this interpretation? Nothing. But if you understand the poem in its naked way, then you understand, you get the flavor of the poem. And it's very easy to understand the poet if you didn't understand the poem. So you see, he talked about nature. I told you that he talked about nature. He talked about something which is recollected in tranquility. He talked about that sort of lesson he gets from nature. So you find not only the mind, the body, but the heart, all of it. Give some Please give some information about syllabus, mark, exam. I'm not supposed to do all this selection. Please, if you want to or you're only interested to know about marks and evaluation, please contact your center. If you're interested in the poem, listen to me, or else you switch it off. I always tell you that I am not to tell you how much you'll write, what will be the length of the assignment. you know you don't know what is to be written. First know what to write, then you talk about how to write it. That is the problem with all of you. When someone is teaching a poem, you should try to understand the meaning of the poem, understand enjoying a poem. That's very important. But your thing is always minding happening how much I should write, what is the length of the assignment I should write, how much I can copy from others and get the marks. If that is the purpose of doing literature, please don't take literature. Please don't take it. You'll get a degree. Even if you don't write, you'll get a degree. Literature, if you take, there has to be some sort of sensitivity. Then one should read literature at least. The solitary reaper. Don't ask such vague questions to me, please. I've already repeatedly told you. If you're not interested in my class, if you don't like my class, it's boring for you, you can please switch it off and go. You're free to do that. Solitary reaper, I told you. I give you another example of William Wordsworth. Because I cannot read the long poems for you, it will be difficult. So that's the reason I'm just acquainting you with Wordsworth so that when you read, it will be easy for you to understand. The solitary reaper. The word is solitary. That means a girl who is all alone in the field. Solitary reaper. Imagine a vast tract of land where rice must have grown, wheat must have grown. The blades are there. It is breezy. and a beautiful girl in the midst of a field singing a song. That is the image. Then I told you that Wordsworth remembers. He says, behold her. Oh, look at her. Behold her. Look at her. Because Wordsworth is very fond of using old words, archaic words. Behold is something we don't use. We say, oh, look at her. We say, we don't say beholder. Behold is an archaic word. It's an obsolete word, but English, old English. Behold her, single in the field. In the field, she's single. Yon solitary highland lass. So a girl used to be called lass, Lass. That is the old English. So she's from the mountains. Yon or solitary highland lass. Because England, Scotland, they had a lot of highlands, cliffs, mountains. So that they are called the highland lass girls. Reaping and singing. She was doing reaping and also singing. Not harvesting, reaping. She's reaping. They're called the buniba, reaping. And singing by herself. Stop here or gently pass. You can stop and hear her singing, or you can pass. Alone, she cuts and binds the grain. She goes and cutting and binding the grain and sings a melancholy strain. And she sing a song. Maybe she's recollecting someone, or maybe she's recollecting her lover. So that song is very melancholic. It is not a rap song, da 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 da, as we do. Makes you jump. No, very lilting, beautiful music. Oh,
Ma'am, we
listen.
can say it's sad music.
Not exactly sad. I told you, melancholy and sad is something different. Sad, you can be sad for a particular thing, but melancholy means it's a mixed feeling. At times, I don't know whether it happens, but it happens with people
So
that you don't,
remembering someone.
not remembering exactly when you are at home, for example, there may be some moments when you don't want to talk to anyone, when you just want to be yourself, when all on a sudden you feel very, sometimes down, mentally down. And if you want to find out what is the reason, maybe you'll not know the reason. But at times, you just don't want to chat with others. You just want to be yourself. And when you want to be yourself, at times you feel feeling low. You're feeling low. So that is the, at times it happens. That's a human emotion. That's a psychological
And
part of.
ma'am, it also fleshes out the imagery of as if there is darkness, and in the darkness a person is sitting alone and uh, doing something by him or her own, and he needs no one.
Yeah, I tell you that there's some time when you don't need to have anyone with you. You want to be with, connect yourself with your own inner self. That is the place where you want to have a communion with your own inner self. That time you don't like to be disturbed. You don't like to chat. You don't like to just, see a TV, or, you just want to be left to yourself. It happens. So that is the time of solitude. That is called solitude, where you want to be yourself. Only just reflecting. Nothing, no regular thoughts would be coming. But you just want to be alone and just be quiet. That is a very good thing. Then the ideas come to you. Okay, I should not digress. So alone she cuts, binds the grain, and sings a melancholy strain. So that song is not very jumpy song, but very melancholy strong. Oh, listen. Oh, the poet says, oh, listen. The well profound, the valley, because that is a valley, is overflowing with the sound. Because when you are all alone in a valley and if you're singing, the echo comes. No nightingale did ever chaunt more welcome notes to weary bands of travelers in some shady haunt among the Arabian sands. He says even a nightingale has got a beautiful voice, but nightingale also cannot chant Nat cannot sing such a welcoming song as she's singing. A nightingale, when someone is traveling in some shady joint or under the shade, the traveler rests and suddenly he hears the voice of the nightingale, that gives great comfort to that person. But he says it is more, more beautiful and more, you can say, pleasurable than the song of a nightingale, because when the people in Arabian sands they cross in the hot sun and come under the shade of a tree, and suddenly they hear the beautiful voice of the nightingale, that gives a great relief. But this girl sings much better than the nightingale. A voice so thrilling never was heard in springtime, even from the cuckoo bird, koel, cuckoo. It's got a beautiful voice. Goes on doing, repeating, repeating, repeating. They go on singing from one tree to another tree to another tree. But he says her voice is so thrilling that is more beautiful than a cuckoo bird, breaking the silence of the seas. Even when it goes, it breaks the silence of the sea. Among the farthest Hebrides, even the farthest lands. Will no one tell me what she sings? The poet doesn't understand. Can someone tell me what she sings? Perhaps. He says perhaps. He goes on thinking perhaps. The plaintive numbers flow for some old, unhappy, far off thing. Oh, maybe she must be remembering something very old, unhappy which has happened with her. Or she must be talking about some battle, some wars. Or is it some familiar matter of today? Because the poet is not understanding. So he goes on questioning. But whatever it is, some natural sorrow, pain, or loss that has been, and maybe again. He says, perhaps whatever I gain from it, she's talking about something which is very sorrowful. Maybe she has had a loss. Maybe she has, got a pain which has happened or may happen with her. He's not very sure. Whatever the theme, the maiden sang. I don't know. Whatever the thing, maiden means the girl. As if her song could have no ending. It goes and ringing in his ears. I saw her singing at her work. And over the sickle bending, she's bending down, holding a sickle, da, in her hand, and singing this song. I, the poet stops, caesura, pause. I listened, motionless. As if, my whole body becomes numb, motionless. There's no motion. And still, totally the poet becomes still, dumbfounded. And as I mounted up the hill, and then when the poet goes moving, the music in my heart I bore. The music not only I heard, but in my heart, I still have that music. Long after it was heard no more. That day only I heard that music, which I have still kept in my heart, but no more I have heard that music. So you see, how beautifully one poet can imagine about a solitary reaper. You must be going when you are traveling in cars and vehicles, or uh, by trains. Thank you, Falguni. We were traveling by trains. We see all these scenes, but doesn't strike us because we are more worried when the pantry food will come to us, when the uncle chips will come to us, when can you have the ice cream. All these things bother us. But when you're totally calm, left to yourself, small little things which you have not noticed in life, has great importance, right? So this was William Wordsworth. So let me go. So now you have a fair, because I have not gone to detail of William Wordsworth. I just gave you fair idea of what William Wordsworth. Then we can go to the next poet, his great friend, S.T. Coleridge, Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Okay, just a minute. Yeah. Samuel Taylor Coleridge, he was a friend of Wordsworth, I told you, and both of them wrote the lyrical ballads. But their approach is different. Their approach was different. Wordsworth was more about nature, nature as a preacher, nature as a guide, philosopher, and friend. But for Coleridge, he wrote about wonder, wonder. Okay, so he revived the supernatural as a literary force. Wordsworth talked about the natural world. Muskan Kumari, can you switch off your video, please? Please switch off a video. I think you're walking somewhere. I'll explain it. Don't worry. Himani Joshi, I'll explain it. First go through the poet. I'll explain it. You know what is called lyrical? Lyrical means something which is musical. And what is a ballad? Ballad means it is in the form of a long poem. Ballad is usually a tale which is in the form of a long poem. In the olden times, people used to orally sing, and that is how ballad evolved. Ballad. So this is the lyrical ballad because it is more like a story that is being told to you, lyrical ballad, and it's a very long poem. So I told you that Muskan Kumari, I think, I don't know why he has switched off this video. It's distracting me. Yeah, good. So I told you that in Wordsworth, it was going to the natural world. But with Coleridge, he believed in the supernatural. There is in Wordsworth, I told you that was pantheism, means God resides in nature. Pan, theism, nature. God resides in nature. But with Wordsworth, he had a theory. He had a theory of, the theory was willing suspension of disbelief. That means, for example, I'll give an example. You go to see a cinema. You see the hero crossing the mountains, about to fall, but holding on to a tree, then makes a jump to a cliff. All these impossible things happening. Before, when you don't go to see the cinema hall, if I tell you, then you say, oh man, it's all trash. How can it happen? It doesn't happen. But when you are inside the cinema hall, you find everything is real. Everything is real. And you also worried, he should not fall down. He should not fall down. Oh, let the hero at least, climb the tree and be safe. You start sympathizing with the hero. Why? Because you are willingly suspending your disbelief. You start believing. You start believing in whatever it is shown to you. And you become a part of that. So for 3 hours, you know that whatever you have seen is all bullshit. It is not real. It cannot be real. But in that movie hall, you accept that disbelief. That means you willingly suspend for some time your disbelief. That I don't believe, you willingly suspend it and you start believing it. Doesn't it happen? Tell me.
Yes, ma'am.
Doesn't it happen?
Yes, it happens.
Yes,
Even
ma'am.
some people start crying. Some people start crying. Oh, what has happened to the heroine? If he goes fall down, then that is what has happened. He should not fall down. And some people start praying also that the hero should not fall down. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, but if you practically you look at it, it is all bullshit. It doesn't happen. There's all the stuntsmen must be doing. It is all how they. It's all the director's techniques, how he has done it. But that time,
It is already scripted.
But that time you don't argue with your mind. You don't argue. Then saying, oh, whatever this director is showing is all bullshit. So I'll not look at that. Does it happen? No. You become a part of it. You become a part of it. And you also, feel have the sense of sympathy. That means it is a willing suspension of disbelief. So that was the theory. Because Coleridge, he talked about the supernatural. For example, the Ancient Mariner is a very long poem where the mariner means someone who was in the ship. He's called a mariner. Please switch off your audio. The mariner is one who is working in the ship. So here the mariner is ancient. He's not referred to as old. He is referred to as ancient. That means a mariner, maybe of the old times, whose eye is like a glass, whose eyes are sparkling like a glass. And the ancient mariner tells the story, to the travelers who come. So that is the lyrical ballad of Samuel T. Coleridge. I think I can deal with it later on. So I told you that when he talks about the natural world, Coleridge talks about the unnatural, the world of the, you can say, the supernatural, because Coleridge believed in fancy. Coleridge believed in imagination. He said one has to fancy. So that is the reason you can say all his poems belong to a very different world, not about the mountains, not about the solitary river, but he talked about Kubla Khan. Kubla Khan was a king, and he had a beautiful castle amidst the ocean. Or he talks about a mariner, ancient mariner whose eyes are sparkling like a glass. So he had a very distinguished way of writing, and like Wordsworth, his poems are not very simple because he has got a rhythm and it has got a metrical arrangement, but very musical lines he has got. And he has written three types of poems: one very romantic, one very personal, and also political poems. And his famous poems are Kubla Khan, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, Frost at Midnight. These are the three important poems of Coleridge. Right. So I don't know whether I can get a poem of Coleridge to read. Just wait. Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Yeah, I got it. I just read some line because it's a very long poem. Yes.
May you repeat the names of the poems?
The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. R-I-M-E. Of the Ancient Mariner. M-A-R-I-N-E-R.
And ma'am, the two others?
Kubla Khan. K-U-B-L-A. Khan. A-N. Kubla Khan. And Frost at Midnight. Frost, F-R-O-S-T, at midnight. So I'll just read some lines of the Ancient Mariner to have a feel of how Coleridge writes, and now you know how Wordsworth has written. So when you read Wordsworth, it will be easy for you because you understand what was the technique of the poet. So it is the Ancient Mariner. He tells you it in a ballad form. It is an ancient mariner, he says. He stoppeth me. He stoppeth. Stop it. He doesn't say stop. He says stoppeth. He stoppeth, old word. One of the three. So three people are coming and he stops one person. By long beard, glittering eyes. He has got long beard and glittering eyes. Then the one who stopped, he says, why are you stopping me? Wherefore stoppest thou me? Why are you stopping me? It is a wedding. He's come to a wedding. People are there. The bridegroom's doors are opened wide, and the poet is the member of the family. So I am next of kin. The guests are there. The feast is set. You can hear the merry din. He says, you can hear, but why are you stopping me? He tells the ancient mariner. Then what does the ancient mariner do? He holds him with his skinny hand. Can you imagine an old person with old hand? The veins have come out. That's bony. He says, there was a ship. There was a ship. Quoth he. Hold off. He says, unhand me, you grey-bearded loon. Why are you holding me like this? The person says. He holds him with his glittering eyes. Glittering, sparkling eyes. The wedding guest stood still. He says, don't stop me. I am one of the family members. I have to go. But he doesn't leave him. The wedding guest stood still and listens like a 3-year child. So like a small child, he listens to the mariner because the mariner wants to tell a story. So the wedding guest sat on a stone. He has no other option. He said he cannot choose but to hear. And thus spoke the ancient man, the bright-eyed mariner. So now spoke means spake. That is all Old English. The ancient man. So the man is called ancient. That means belonging to old times. He says, now he starts the story. The ship was cheered, the harbor cleared. Merrily did we drop below the church, below the hill, below the lighthouse top. That means the ship has started sailing. The sun came up upon the left. Out of the sea came he, and shone bright on the right, went down into the sea. So we saw the sun shining. Again, we saw the sun dipping into the sea. Higher and higher every day, till over the mast at noon. But the wedding guest, is getting restless. Oh, I have to go. The bride has come, he says. But that man doesn't listen. And now the storm blast came. He was tyrannous and strong. So then the storm in the sea came. He struck with his overtaking wings and chased us south along. So the wind was so strong that we had to move south. With sloping masts, the mast of the sea, that sail, that cloth of the sea, it has sloped down. And the wind pursued with yell and blow. There is a music. There was a strong, music of the yelling sound, as if someone is crying hard, as if someone is following. The ship drove fast. Loud roared the blast. And southways we fled. So everything was, you're going. And through the drift, the snowy cliff did send a dismal sheen. No shape of man, no beast we could see. The ice was all between. So we have drifted, we have started sailing. We could only see the snow-capped hills, cliff. That was green in color. It was showing a green color. We could not see any man. We could not see any city. Nothing, only the ice. The ice was here. The ice was there. The ice was all around. It cracked and growled, roared and howled like noises in a swound. where, as if in a noise, there's a battlefield. The ices were breaking, and it was making a third sound, and at length it did cross an albatross. Albatross is a very big bird. It's supposed to be like as bigger than a, you can say eagle, like a jatayu, big, very big. At length it crossed an albatross. Through the fog it came, out of the dense fog, the albatross came. As if, it was a Christian soul. And when we're happy, oh, we saw this holy bird. It ate the food. It ate the food along with us, and round and round and round it flew. The ice was splitting. The ice did split with a thunder fit. But we are all going. So this continues. This is the story that is told by Coleridge in the form of a ballad. So someone questioned me what is called this lyrical ballad. Lyrical means which has got a thought, which has got a musical effect, a long poem, and it is in the form of a story, then it is a ballad. So today I have given you an idea of Wordsworth, an idea of this Coleridge, and Wordsworth's theory of poetry. And I think in the next class, I will go into details of. I have not touched William Blake. I'll just start William Blake today. Half an hour is left. So William Blake wrote two collection of poems: Song of Innocence, Song of Experience. And William Blake was, what you can say, he was a little, he talked about the London city, more of about the London city, and he was very revolutionary. He was very revolutionary. And his poems, which poems, Vijay Lakshmi? No, I am going now. Let me go back. I just cannot jump from one poet to another, William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth. 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 You can go to the Google and also see William Wordsworth, Romantic Poets. I told you the number of poems. I have already given the PowerPoint. You will get it. Don't worry. He has written long poems. He has written the long poem like the Prelude. He has written the short poems. I told you I have already read this. What did I read today? Solitary Reaper. I read Daffodils. Then Tintern Abbey. The number of poems he has written. Imitations of Immortality. All these poems he has written. I think they will upload the PowerPoint, which I am not able to share it with you. You will get it. Don't worry. So Blake, I told you that he was little rebellious by nature. He only didn't talk about emotion he did not talk about emotion only and nature, but he talked also about the real world. And he's talked about the London city, because he was also affected by in the post-industrial age. Because in the post-industrial age, the children, there was a lot of child labor. There's a lot of child labor in London. In one of his poems, I think you have it in your course, I believe. Let me look at it. Whether you have it or not, just have a little look at it. Yeah, he wrote a number of short poems. This Blake, William Blake, Song of Innocence and Song of Experience. He has written both the poems, the collection of poems, you can say. Yeah, right, right, right. So I will just read out one of his poem, The Chimney Sweeper. The Chimney Sweeper. You know what is a chimney sweeper? In London, they have chimneys because that time there was the firewood. There's no gas or induction. People used to cook, and it being a very cold country, they lit the fire, and just in the kitchen they have a chimney. There's like a pipe, and the smoke will go out of that pipe. That is called the chimney. So at times it needs to be cleaned because or else the whole thing becomes black and filled up. So who will do that? The chimney sweeper does that. So he writes a poem about chimney sweeper. So he writes, let me read that poem of William Blake. When my mother died, I was very young. The chimney sweeper is telling. When my mother died, I was very young. My father sold me, while yet my tongue could scarcely cry, weep, weep, weep. That means he talks about a very poor child whose mother dies, and the father sells that boy even when he didn't know how to cry properly. I your chimneys I sweep. Now he has become a chimney sweeper. Your chimneys I sweep, and in soot I sleep. So it means the black thing that comes out of the chimney, black in color. That soot, that is called the soot, SOOT, soot. There is little Tom who cried when his head that curled like a lamb's back was shaved. So they used to shave the hair of the children, or else it will become very sticky. So that he's telling his friend, hush, Tom, never mind. When your head is bare, you know that the suit cannot spoil your white hair. So if you are getting white hair in your head, hair, because they all have white hair in most in the England and all. So when you have white hair, it will become black. So it is better that you have been shaved. And so he was quiet. His friend was quiet. That very night, as Tom was sleeping, he had such a sight. Thousands of sweepers, Dick, Joe, Ned, Jack, all of them locked up in coffins of black. So that day, that night, he saw a dream that all his friends, black in color, were locked up in coffin. Coffin, where the dead man dies. In Christianity, when the dead man, in the Christian religion, when the dead man dies, they put them in the box and lock the box and put it inside the earth. Dig it down. So he sees his friends, Dick, Joe, Ned, and Jack, all black and locked up in coffins of black. He's seeing the dream. And then became an angel who had a bright key. So he sees, because he's a small child, he's seeing a dream. He sees an angel. Angel, with the one fairy who comes from the heaven, helps people. Came by an angel who had a bright key that can open the coffin. Opened the coffins and set them all free. He said, oh, go, all of you, go. And down a green plain, leaping, laughing, they run, washed in a river and shine in the sun. So can you imagine a small child if he's made to sweep the chimney, all black, his friends all black. In the real life, he doesn't see any dream. So when he dreams, he wants to have that freedom. He wants to run, want to wash himself in the river, wants to laugh, shine, under the sun, naked. So it is only a dream, not a reality. The naked and white, all their bags left behind, He opened the coffin, set them all free, and then down a green plain, leaping, laughing, they run, wash in a river, shine in the sun. They naked and white, all their backs left behind. They rise upon the clouds and sport in the wind. They also go up into the sky. And the angel told Tom, be a good boy. He did have God for his something is not there and never want joy. So this is the dream Tom is seeing about freedom. So Tom awoke and rose in the dark. The dream is over. The boy gets up and rises up in the dark and got with the bags and brushes to work. But the dream is over. When the dream is over, again you have to get up and do the same job every day. Though the morning was cold, though the morning was cold, Tom was happy and warm. Why Tom was happy? Because he had seen a dream. And in the dream, he says an angel coming, helping the boys. The coffins, he releases them, and they're all running into the river, naked, crying, smiling, jumping, going up into the sky. So, though the morning was cold, the Tom was happy and warm. So, if all do their duty, they need not fear harm. So, he says, don't have to fear. He consoles himself that if you all do our duty, perhaps no one will harm us. We'll only see dreams where the angels will come and help us like that. But in reality, their life is very different. They had to do all this dirty job. And the poet has observed very beautifully, and he has felt what type of emotion that boy must be having inside his, what type of thinking that boy must be having, what type of thing he must be aspiring to have in life so that he can have a sense of freedom. That is William Blake. So today I have read out three poems so that you're familiar with the poets and it becomes easy to you. Any question if you have, you can ask me. So today I think I'll stop here because I am also feeling tired. Stop here and have some questions. If you have asked something to ask, you can ask a question. I can.
Ma'am, could you say the meaning of suit once again?
Suit is that black thing. Are you an Oriya?
Yes, ma'am.
ହଁ ଯୋଉ କଳା କଳା ଥାଏ ଯୋଉ ତମ ଦେହରେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଧୂଆଁ ଲାଗିଯିବ ସବୁ ଯୋଉ କୋଇଲାର ଯୋଉ ଧୂଆଁ ଗୁଡା ଲାଗିଯାଏ ଦେହରେ କେମିତି ଥାଏ କଳା କଳା ଲାଗିଯାଏ
Huh.
that is called suit. Not black painting, but everything, if it is sticky, it becomes sticky to your body. The body को stick କରିଯିବ ସେଗୁଡା ସବୁ.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
That is called suit. So of these three poets, which one you like best?
Ma'am, William Blake.
Oh, great. Why? Yeah, must be
Ma'am,
having a reason.
yes, ma'am, because he is talking about small children, and that is when they are not supposed to work.
Yeah.
So one of the novelists also who was profoundly talking about this is Charles
Charles
Dickens.
Dickens, yes. Oliver
Yes,
Twist, David
yes,
Copperfield, yeah. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, Bacon also write related to the
Yes, Coleridge, ma'am.
reality.
Yeah. He was a very revolutionary poem, I told you, because he's only because Wordsworth is only about nature, about the good things in life. But he was talking about the real world around him. And he was also very philosophical when he writes such things. So his style of writing is very different. So everyone has his own style of writing. Coleridge had his own style of writing. It is of superstition, when something unreal becomes real to you. Coleridge could create such a world where the unreal also, suddenly becomes very real to you, but it is all unreal. And he had a theory, I told you, the willing suspension of disbelief. It is doesn't happen, but still, you want to know about it. That is what. And Wordsworth is something, is it tells about the simple things of life, like a cuckoo, like a girl singing, or maybe a daffodil, maybe some Lucy Gray girl tending the sheep, and his minute observation and his healing power of nature, how nature can make human being a better creature. He writes about all that.
Ma'am, can we see the PPT again that you were
I'm
showing
not
at the
actually, I'm
start?
not able to share that with you. That is my problem. I don't know. I don't have. I tried my best yesterday. Also, I tried. So I have given that PPT to the office, to the administrator. So I have requested him that he can upload that PPT in your website. I mean the way in this Google Meet, so that you can see it. Let me once again talk to him if he can do that now. I have requested him. I'm not able to do that. That is my problem. I tried my best, but I'm not able.
Yeah, ma'am. Okay.
So you are enjoying the class?
Yes, ma'am, a
Yes,
Yeah,
lot.
ma'am.
yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that is what one should. If you cannot enjoy a class, then you'll not like it. You should enjoy, then you can like it, and then you'll love it. Let me talk to him and tell him.
Yes, we are enjoying, ma'am.
Okay.
No problem.
No, literature is something which one should enjoy. If you cannot enjoy literature, there's no fun in reading it. It is like it will be like physics or chemistry or something which is, you have to, understand and you have to do it within this. But if once you start liking it, you can go on reading. There is a small book. I don't know whether you'd love to have it or not. That is called Palgrave's Golden Treasury.
Ma'am, let me say, I am Vijayan. I am aged man, 65 over. Okay. Now
Oh,
I am listening class from Dubai,
okay.
and I want to just complete this course. That is the reason I'm eagerly I am just waiting, and even now I am still on duty.
Okay.
Okay.
Good, good, good.
But I am trying to just listen everything, whatever
Okay.
is possible to just hear from
Okay.
you. But
So
what
do.
is the problem? I think is I don't have any access to just read or anything right now. So that is the reason my friends, those who are just attending, they were asking about the PPT. No problem. Whenever it is uploaded, uploading in the system, we can just copy. No problem. Because we must have some idea to just read about these things, and whatever you have just mentioned should be in our mind, right? That is the reason
Mhm.
only. Anyway, we are trying. Maybe I am the only one, the eldest one. I am hoping.
Are you no in Dubai? Are you belonging to one of these partner institutions?
Sorry.
Because we have our partner institutions in different
I,
parts of the
I,
globe.
I heard that one, but it's not a matter. I need to just join with the Trivandrum level. That is the reason I just joined. Okay, it's very
Okay,
good. Okay, thank you,
okay,
ma'am.
okay, okay. And Salman Karim, okay, you have something to ask me?
Yes, ma'am. I have precisely two short questions.
Mm-hmm.
One being with the chimney sweeper itself, so that the chimney sweeper, when I was looking into some context, I saw that it is placed in both the songs of innocence as well as the songs of experience.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we are getting a question, so where should I put, means while we are answering, if I
Innocence,
write the
songs of
answer?
innocence. It definitely songs of innocence.
Okay, ma'am. In the songs of innocence.
Yeah, yeah.
My s- okay, ma'am. My second question is related to Kubla Khan. The
Mm-hmm.
Kubla Khan's title has one more subtitle there is, that is a vision in a dream, a fragment. So
Mm-hmm.
while answering the question, say suppose there is an
No,
extract
that
of
I will
an
explain.
article.
That I will go tomorrow. Don't have to worry, because I
Okay.
touched all the poem. And
Mhm.
best thing about Coleridge, he has not completed the poems. Also, it is
Yes,
a
ma'am.
fragment. It is a fragment. He have half done. Only the one or two he could complete, and all are in incomplete form, because he was very fond of taking opium. That is the reason people say, I don't know, but he was addicted to opium, and that was, he always used to be in a different world, a fanciful world. That is that is one of that is one of the belief that people have, that he was addicted to opium, and he used to imagine a lot, he used to see dreams. So half of them he could just write in fragments, and he could not complete.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much for the answer, ma'am. Thank you for the class, ma'am. You were amazing.
Okay, okay. Any more question? Because I have still time. If you have any question, you can have. ହଁ ପରିଡ଼ାକୁ ଆପଣ ତ ସେ ଅପଲୋଡ଼ କରିଦେବେ ଟିକେ ସେ ପିପିଟିଟା ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଏଇ ଯୋଉ କ୍ଲାସରେ ଆପଣ ଟିକେ ଅପଲୋଡ଼ କରିଦିଅନ୍ତୁ ସେଇଟା। ନାଇଁ ଚେଞ୍ଜ କରନ୍ତୁନି ଆପଣ ପିପିଟିଟା ମୁଁ ପିପିଟି ଫର୍ମରେ ଯେମିତି ଦେଇଛି ଆପଣ ସେମିତି ଅପଲୋଡ଼ କରିଦେଉନାହାନ୍ତି। ନାଇଁ ଆପଣ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ କାହାର ଲ୍ୟାପଟପକୁ ଦେଇ ଦିଅନ୍ତୁ, ଦେଇକି ସେଇଠୁ ଅପଲୋଡ଼ କରିଦିଅନ୍ତୁ। ହଁ ନା ଚେଞ୍ଜ କାହିଁକିନା ଅପଲୋଡ଼ ନ କଲେ ପିଲା ପାଉନାହାନ୍ତି ନା, ପିଲା ବ୍ୟସ୍ତ ହଉଛନ୍ତି, ତାଙ୍କୁ ଦେବେ। ଆଚ୍ଛା ନାଇଁ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ସିଷ୍ଟମ ଏତେ କମ୍ପାଟିବଲ ନଥିବ, ଆପଣ ହଁ ଓ ଲେଟେଷ୍ଟ ଭର୍ସନ ଏଇଟା ବି ତ ମୋର 11 ଅଛି, ନାଇଁ ୱିଣ୍ଡୋଜ୍ 10 ଅଛି ମୋର। ଓକେ ଆପଣ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ କାହାକୁ ଦିଅନ୍ତୁ, ଏଇଟା ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ ଠିକ ଅଛି। ହଁ ହଁ ଓକେ I have informed him to upload. I don't know. I'm not able to do. That is my problem. If you have any one of you, if I don't know, I don't have any WhatsApp group with you also. Or else I could have sent.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Excuse me, ma'am. We have a group as a MEG group. So if you give your or you take our one of our number, we will share it with ourselves.
I can give you my number.
Sure, ma'am.
But
If
you
you
can only,
don't,
but only for the purpose of PPT. I'm
yes.
sending. I'll be sending you.
Sure, ma'am. Sure,
Ah,
ma'am.
okay. You
Okay.
can just write down my number.
Yes.
9868
9868
627
627
698.
698. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so you can just
Yes.
send me an hi, and accordingly I can
Yes.
send you my PPT.
Yes, we will share it in our groups.
Okay, that I'll do. That I can
Ma'am,
do.
Ma'am, all
yes.
students are
Ma'am,
not
can
in
I
the
ask a
group.
question, please?
Ma'am, all students are not
Yes,
in the group. Ma'am, all
all
students are
students are
not in the
not there, but
group.
that will be, it might be very,
Okay.
very big group. I know it will be very big group.
Mama, I would like to just
Ma'am,
join with
I
the
have group.
group.
Wait, ma'am.
Give you my
Ma'am,
number,
we
so
will send.
you will add me.
No, wait. Listen. We will send you the link of that group. If you want to join, you can join in there.
Sure, waiting.
Okay.
Yeah, we will
Then
Then
send you
fine.
the
fine.
link. Okay. Yes,
Okay, then
ma'am.
fine.
One more
Please, that will
question.
be very helpful.
Yes. We
Excuse
will.
me.
We will. Yes.
I have
Link I will send you.
Okay.
Ma'am, one question. Can I? Ma'am, after
Thank you.
ma'am will
Thank
leave,
you.
I will send you the. I will send you the link. I will ask one question. I will ask ma'am, please.
Okay, who is this Gambian Jane Ovia Gambian? From which country you are?
Ma'am, I'm from India itself. I'm from Bangalore. I
Okay.
have a question. So,
Mhm.
ma'am, I wanted to understand what is the way that we are expected to give an answer for a question that is for 10 marks or more than 10 marks in exam. Like, what is the kind that our lecturers might want us to write? How should we go about
No,
a question like that?
is it a long question or a short question?
Long one, ma'am.
Long question is always for 20 marks, not less than 20 marks.
Okay.
It's always for 20 marks. And at times students, in short questions, they go on writing long for at least 5 pages. So that becomes, you should observe that even if you write 10 pages, you will get 5. Even if you write 2 pages, you will get 5. Right?
So, how many pages should a 20 mark answer consist of, ma'am?
You should write the substance. Whether you can, the way you write, some people write it very skillfully, in a very
Okay.
synthetic, in a very tight language, style they can write, convey the same within one page. And there are some people, if you write more, there will be more repetitions, I tell you. So try to condense your thoughts and go very point wise, and always see what is the question asking. I mean, what the question wants from you. But I have seen students writing, the question is something different, he writes something different. He writes the entire story because he knows he has to vomit, so he goes on vomiting. So you have to see what the question has asked you. What So accordingly, before writing, I'll tell you, these are not there in the any book, but this is from one's practical experience. Once you see a question, either at the backside of your maybe the last page of your notebook, first arrange your thoughts. You first to think that if this is the question, then the first paragraph of this, I'll write this, or I'll write a definition of this. Then I'll little elaborate further in the next paragraph. Then I will come to the author. While talking about the author, a little 2 3 lines about the author and his writings. Not his biography, where he was born, when he went to school, this people also write, which is all bullshit. Don't do that. And then you come to the main core of your writing, that is what the question has asked you, and then you write that, and then one small paragraph of conclusion. So this should be the structure of your answer. And first you should mentally make a map. When you go to some place, you follow a map. So if you just see the question and start writing dang 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 dang, right, doesn't happen that way. First arrange your thoughts, reflect for some time what you are going to write. Then you think what I should write first, what I should write second, what I should write third, then further, and then how I'll complete. Then your answer becomes systematic. And if it is just a 10 number question, 10 marks question, you don't have to write 5 pages for that. You just have to write 1.5 page maximum, because it is short question. Short question, there has to be difference between a short question and a long question. So if short questions are also made long, then there's no point. Did you get it?
Yes, ma'am, I did. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your explanation.
So can we now end the session? Any more question?
Yes, ma'am.
Replace the adult.
Question.
Who is asking? Mazda. Yeah, Mazda. Mazda can
Yes,
ask.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes. I was wondering if we have to go through all the poets that are in the teaching materials on the website, or we just have to focus on those you mentioned their names during the course.
Listen, these lectures are recorded, right? So I
Yes.
cannot give you a very frank answer of what you should not write, what you should ignore. It will be unethical, right? So I, as a
Yes.
teacher, I'll say you have to read everything, but in actuality, it doesn't happen. So you should see what interests you more. For example, if you're very thorough in romantic age, take up romantic age, and you know that I'm very thorough in romantic age. I am bored with Dryden and Pope, so a question comes, maybe I cannot write, or maybe I cannot be very confident. So in such case, you can give a little weightage, small weightage to Dryden and Pope, but give more importance to romantic, and you read all the poets. So if a question comes on romantic age, you are confident that you can answer any question from the romantic age. So have that much of confidence.
Yes, because I sincerely, last night I was reading about Milton, but I felt very confused.
Yeah, at
And I
times,
was,
it is difficult. It is difficult. I have already
I
told you.
found it very difficult.
Yeah, it is difficult, because there's a lot of references and allusions, and to bibliography, to Bible, to mythologies, to classics. I find it is not difficult. I cannot say it is impossible, but it is difficult, and at the same time it is not very interesting also. So it becomes a little boring for it, because prose is at times it becomes very dull and boring to your ears. So I cannot say such things, because it is unethical on the part of the teacher to say that you can ignore this, do that, ignore this. It's not ethical. But yes, I can see, seeing the time frame you have, you're having less of time, and the portions you have in your syllabus, which is quite a heavy one.
They're
And
bulky.
yeah, so you can make a choice. You can select, like, to have a practical viewpoint, you can have select, and you can say, okay, if I'm preparing this, any question comes on this, I can answer. Any question comes. So you have to be very, very thorough in that particular age. Say if you're taking up Elizabethan age, or you can say Victorian age, or you can say the Romantics. Any question comes, you are very thorough with Blake, we are very thorough with Wordsworth, you're very thorough with Coleridge. So you are confident any question comes, I can write. So have that confidence. Then you are getting, you're sure of answering one question at least. And
Ramon,
I have already advised you that you please look at the question papers, both the sittings, both the times you have having twice you are having examinations. So you can look at the question papers and say of 3 years. So 3 into 2 becomes 6. So look at the question papers and just watch how the question type of questions it is coming, what type of short notes are coming from which chapters, from which blocks. Make a note of it, mental note of it, and you can focus. There's I If I prepare this, I can get some questions from the short notes, I can write down. Or if I'm thorough in this chapters, I can write whatever it is coming from the long. So you have to make that intelligent choice, and you have to have the confidence that if I'm thorough, I'm 100% thorough.
okay.
Instead of being thorough in everything, which is not possible, to be honest, you can be thorough. At least if you are having a 60% thoroughness, you can answer the questions.
Yes, ma'am. But I was wondering, when we have a critique or a comparison between two poets, should we focus on the structure of their poems, the style, language, or we should go also through the meaning of each poem and symbolism of the words there?
The question, as I see, doesn't come that you have to go on critically analyzing. The question will come. The question will come. For example, if it's this question that in Wordsworth's poems we find nature is the poet, friend and philosopher, discuss. In such case, you have to take up 2 or 3 poems of poet Wordsworth. You have read 2 or 3, whatever is there in the syllabus, you can take that. Yes, you can give his philosophy of nature, what he believed, how nature was important to him, nature as a as a preacher, as a guide, and the spirit nature has. You can talk about all that, his philosophy of nature. Then you can come to his poems, that in this particular poem he talked about nature, this, what was the importance of that, in the second poem, third poem. So general, you can, I told if you are thorough with all the poems, whatever the poems are there in the syllabus of your book, and you have read, you can, any question comes on Wordsworth, you can write that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank
So,
you.
I think now, Vijayan, you have any question?
Nothing wrong, ma'am. Nothing.
No.
Ma'am,
No,
I
but
would, what I would
ma'am,
advise you, Vijayan, I can advise you that you have a center in Dubai, UAE, and we have because I was looking into the international side of our university. I was in fact looking after all the study centers outside India for a long time. I was the director of international division. So I am familiar with all the centers. I in fact visited Dubai twice, thrice in that respect also. Yes. So they are, you can meet one of them, the coordinators there, and I think they can help you because they receive the material. So I think you can just have a word with them, and in fact you can take my name also. Say Dr. Nanda told us to visit your center. If you can help in some way,
okay, but I need to just attend the classes. That is important.
you're right in the city. No, you're right in the city.
Yes,
So
yes.
yeah, so I think you have it in. I think you have in Dubai the center in that knowledge village you have, and you
Yeah,
can visit that center and talk to them at least. They, because they have some. In fact, they can help you if they want to.
okay, I will try to just to find out.
Okay,
But
you can always try. You can always try.
I am just continuing with this classes
Yeah.
now.
Mm, ma'am,
When I am just
excuse me, ma'am.
searching for the time. So let me continue with the same.
Okay. That you can do. That you can do. Okay. Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes.
thank
Ma'am,
You,
that yesterday one, if it is possible, can you send the yesterday one's PPTs to?
whatever I have with me, I can send you. But the detailed sort of thing I have not done because I have done
Okay.
the PowerPoint according to my understanding, whatever I have done, so that
Yes.
I am elaborating on that. because
Sure, ma'am.
yeah. So
Yes.
I have not been given that much of time to prepare the entire PowerPoint to you. I think the school in IGNU, the English school, the
Yes.
School of English in IGNU, they have developed some YouTubes. In the YouTube, I think they have some chapters. There has
Yes,
been
ma'am.
some online, I think, the MOOCs. You can say the MOOCs. The MOOCs they have developed, that is that
Yes.
online resource, that is that they have developed, and I think you
Ma'am.
get it
Yeah.
through the
Ma'am.
YouTubes.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, what is the thing is here that I personally, I think your as you experience explained everything to us, that was little bit more easy to us, means easy to understand. So for that reason, whatever you have made, it will be more helpful for us to be
Okay, I don't mind.
understand.
I don't mind sending it to you.
Yes.
Definitely, I've
Okay.
made it only for you only, but for my understanding, I've
Yes.
done it. So I cannot be
Yes.
make a very detailed sort of thing. Don't expect, but whatever I've done,
Yes.
definitely I'll send it to you. Okay.
That much is enough. Yes. Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Okay. Bye, all of you. Bye.
Thank you. Yeah. Bye, ma'am.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you,
Thank you,
ma'am. Bye.
ma'am.
Thank
Okay.
you,
Bye.
ma'am.
As, as these
Thank you, ma'am.
resources need to be used
Thank you, Mama.
sincerely, as these resources need to be used sincerely, sincerely and judicious, judiciously in order to leave some for
Sohana,
the future generation.
Yes.
Sohana.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes,
We.
I'm requesting you to that you send the PPT in the group.
Yes, I as
Okay?
listen, as soon as I receive that PPT, don't think that I will not send. I will send you as soon
Yeah, yeah.
as I, yeah, that much you can
Okay.
trust. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
most welcome. Most welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.